Hi, I'm Sydney. Welcome back to my Flock and Squawk, and for this Vlogmas I'm going to show you how I made this embroidered felt ornament for a friend. So I'm just going to go through the basics of what I did. Of course, it is not the end-all be-all, nor is this necessarily going to be the most comprehensive instructions that are out there. Feel free to go check out other videos if this doesn't cover what you are wanting, or leave in the comments some of your own insights. But this is what I made. So I'm going to jump over to voiceover and showing you how I made this.
The first thing I did was look up Moomin coloring pages online and search for just something that seemed appropriate. On the Moomin website, they actually have free coloring pages where it has all the alphabet letters available with different characters sitting beside it. They have it as one big sheet as well as where you can pick out individual letters, and so I picked out the M for my friend's name. It has Thingummy and Bob, which are two Moomin characters that are always seen together, and they're sitting either side of the letter M. So I just printed it off and I scaled the image several different ways to kind of get a feel for how big it should be. I decided that the size that ended up being around 4 by 4-ish inches seemed appropriate. It gave enough detail for the characters while also still being, I don't know, petite, ornament sized. Then I took a water-soluble embroidery stabilizer. It's basically like a sticker that you can draw your design on, stick it to your fabric, and then you are able to embroider right on top of it and wash it out. I used that as my base instead of taking it over to my embroidery machine, and that worked beautifully. I highly recommend using some sort of template or drawing on your material to be able to copy something accurately onto your project. For copying the coloring page design over to the material, you don't really need a light box. However, I do recommend it to be able to see some of the finer details. You can also use a window, just make sure that you secure your design and your material over top. If you don't use the sticky embroidery transfer paper, I do recommend that you use a pen of some sort and copy it onto your fabric as best you can. The Pilot friction ball pens work fantastic and they erase with heat, which makes them a great option for projects like this. Or I would say to make sure that you are using a chalk pen or pencil that comes out with washing very easily, especially if you're using a polyester or plastic based material like felt that won't be able to be ironed or heat up enough to take out the pen but not melt the material. After I finished tracing with the light box, I just double checked that the design matched the coloring page and that I didn't miss any marks or made any notes on what I actually wanted with the embroidery. After tracing my design, I cut it out of the larger sheet, fastened my felt that I picked for the project into my embroidery hoop. I had to go a little bit larger than I initially thought for the embroidery hoop, just because of the design I ended up going with. Then I just peeled the backing off of the water-soluble embroidery stabilizer template thing that I've done, and started stitching with this beautiful red floss that I already had in my collection. For the entirety of the project, I used backstitch, and then for areas that I wanted to fill in and have darker, such as the eyes and the hair, I filled in with satin stitch to cover that entire area and give the contrast that I was looking for. A few hours later, and here's my finished work. I think that the contrast with the satin stitch really does help emphasize these characters. And now we can take it out of the hoop and wash off the water stabilizer / template. Here's the back of my work. For those interested, I did not include any knots in my work. I simply weaved in the ends and also held them when I started so that way they didn't slip through. There's enough tension in the felt that I'm not worried about them coming apart, especially since this is going to be backed with another piece of felt, so it's not going to be showing or exposed. After my project had dried from being washed off, I cut it down to size to match the backing piece that I had for it. I cut an additional piece of the backing felt to match so that way it could be a hanger for the project, and I sandwiched it in using a pin to make sure that it stayed in place while I did a blanket stitch around the entire edge of the project, making sure that I sandwiched everything properly and it lined up.
So that is everything that I did to end up with this ornament. I have seen where people stuff them. I kept it flat because I don't know like if she's going to be traveling with it or anything. It's just easy to store and it can always be opened up and added to later or changed. But here is what we have. So it was a afternoon long project for me. It took quite a while just doing the embroidery, but not a crazy long time. I could easily make probably 2 in a day, and that's with plenty of breaks, relaxing, not frantically stitching or using my embroidery machine. This is all hand done, and with that, I think it turned out really cute. The felt makes it soft, and I mean, come on, look at these guys. I did these little characters from Moomin based on, the Moomin alphabet coloring page that they have. Using a coloring page is a very, it's a very easy way to go about it. So there you have it. This is one ornament at the ready to be gifted. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you flock and squawk again with me sometime. Over on Instagram, I've been opening up my advent calendar every day there, and I have a playlist for the rest of Vlogmas. But thank you so much for watching. Bye!